All right, everyone, good morning. The big day has arrived. Borussia Dortmund versus Celtic in 10 hours from now, guys. It'll be getting underway. Kevin is here because it's Tuesday. Tony is here virtually every day. You're in Germany still, Tony. There'd be something wrong if you weren't still in Germany. It'd be a bit pointless if you'd gone just for yesterday. Kevin, how are you?
Very well, very well. Looking forward to the game.
Tony, busy old day yesterday.
Yeah, it's just a real sense of occasion about this one, isn't there? I think, and you're trying to temper your enthusiasm and your optimism, but you can't help it. You just feel that this is this is one of those nights. Could be a really special night for Celtic in Europe. I know we've felt like this before, but we've had our hopes crushed and dashed pretty early on in a lot of those fixtures. But I don't know, there's just something different about this one. The manager and Arne Engels were talking about it last night. Just the mindset, the mood music heading into this one, it's all been very, very positive. The one negative being that Cameron Carter-Vickers is out, and Austin Trusty. But even then, I think everybody's just like, shrug your shoulders, get on with it. Austin Trusty will have been told he's playing. You'll have been told from Saturday that he was playing in this one, probably. So, I just don't think anything can dampen the enthusiasm or the spirit at this moment in time. There's just a real feel-good factor about Celtic. And listen to the manager and Arne Engels do their press conference last night. Nothing dissuaded me. There was no negativity at all. And if anything, I was kind of like, all right, you guys fancy this something terrible. So it's, talk's cheap, isn't it? Talk the talk, walk the walk, and Kevin will tell you that great Glasgow expression. It's no saying it, it's doing it. Celtic have to do it on arguably one of the most iconic football arenas in European football against a European heavyweight. Big test for them, but I think there's optimism and it's not misplaced.
Does it feel like it could be a special night, Kevin? What do you reckon? He's going to burst our hope here with that M.
Temper it with realism.
Look, I've just been here so often before. What I will say is that on the two previous occasions we played Borussia Dortmund, it was with far weaker teams than this one. First one was 87, 88, and Murdo was playing for Dortmund. They weren't brilliant then either, but they'd a couple of German internationals, beat us 2-0 over there fairly comfortably, and then the other time was just 3 or 4 years later, and we were in the doldrums at that time, and we held them somehow a 1-0 defeat, and then Jerry Creaney, I think, opened the scoring in the return game, and then they get a couple. I feel, so any optimism I have is founded on some of our performances over the last 2 seasons. I know that some of our colleagues in the press who can't see beyond their nose and have the cultural memory of a goldfish just look at the stats and say, they get very little understanding of these things, some of these football writers. But I saw all of the games over the last 2 seasons, and we were building towards something in quite a lot of those games. Real Madrid for a while, even Real Madrid away from home when we were beaten 5-1, because people forget about the 2 absolutely ridiculous penalties that Real got, and also the ridiculously high number of shots on goal that we had in the Bernabeu. I'm thinking about the 2 home games against Lazio and Atletico Madrid. I'm thinking about the 2 games against Shakhtar Donetsk. I'm thinking about Leipzig away from home, when although we were beaten 3-1, we matched them. And I'm thinking, beating Feyenoord 2-1 at home, under the manager who's now looking after Liverpool. I think it was Bayern's only, I think it's his only defeat in a long time. It was against us. And yeah, we've been building towards this because there were, the reason why we didn't do as well as we ought to have in those games is because there were gaps in the foundations. We were, we can't just go in and spend 200 million quid, splurge it in four players that will immediately fill the gaps. We don't have that privilege. So I'm quietly optimistic. Yeah, I'm actually, I would say I'm kind of quietly optimistic. We've only won 2 games away from home in the Champions League, and we've drawn 4, and the rest of them have been defeats, and there've been some heartbreakers there. But there's something going on with this team. I think it's a better team than the first Brendan Rodgers spell, and I think it's becoming better than under Ange.
We've never won on German soil, Hamish.
No, we haven't.
So,
Ever.
These records are made to be broken.
Right, see you later, guys. You enjoy your See you later. Don't need to drop that in, Tony. Come on.
I was dropping it in for context and perspective, and and so the very fact that a lot of Celtic supporters are optimistic that they can do it against this formidable opposition just shows you how far Celtic have come under Brendan Rodgers in a year, and how far we think this team, is good enough to go and compete at this level against a team of this magnitude and stature. So, nobody's under any illusion. They are the Champions League runners-up from last season. They've lost about 3 or 4 of that squad. I think it's 4 they've actually lost from that squad, if memory serves. This is, as I say, this is one of the most iconic arenas in European football. But Arne Engels was talking about it yesterday. He was saying, look, if the yellow wall's a yellow wall, and it'll make noise, but if you played at Celtic Park, you can play it anywhere. I love that attitude, Hamish. I love that. I'm like, brilliant. I hope you're, and this is a guy who has played in this stadium, and I know he's only young, but he can relay to those players, listen, I've been here, I know what it's like, talk you through it. This is how it goes, and I think any knowledge, any expertise is a real boon and a help to Celtic in these situations and those players. And you have the coolest 21-year-old ever sitting there saying, bring it on. No, I'm not frightened. We won't be overawed. Celtic Park makes noise, just a different noise. It'll be made tonight, So, and this is why you play football. This is why you play football for clubs like Celtic. You want this. This is what you crave in your career. If you don't, you're in the wrong game. I crave it, and I'm only working at it. Imagine being a player, knowing you're starting tonight and walking out that tunnel playing for Celtic and that special place. I just think it's wonderful, and I think the manager also said he's looking forward to seeing how his team cope playing a team of this stature, and he wants to pit his wits against that, because Brendan Rodgers believes, and I said it last night with Ryan, Brendan Rodgers believes that he's an elite level manager and he belongs at this elite level of club football. He's now transmitting that message to the players. They might be a good team, formidable team, he called them, but you guys are good players too. Go out there and centre stage and prove it.
Is there any chance that we're overawed tonight? I know Arne Engels says we won't. I personally feel that Celtic will turn up and play well. Whether that's good enough to get as a result, at the end of the day, if Dortmund turn up and play to their top level, we probably don't get a result because they are better players than us. Is there any chance, Kevin, that the players are, they step out there and they kind of get a little bit, they kind of forget what they've been doing recently, maybe don't hit the level we all expect?
Look, that can happen. That can happen at any time. I don't think that will happen tonight. There were moments in the last couple of seasons, especially last season, when we let ourselves down away from home, and that was mainly through kind of reckless inexperience in the sendings off. and it wasn't for me. It wasn't a lack of discipline. I just think it was young, relatively untested players coming in to against big clubs and big stadiums away from home, miles out with their comfort zone, caught in the headlights a little bit, and I think as well that a lot of our football, as I'd said earlier, in some of those games was good, but there was also a little bit of naivety, possibly, maybe Ange and Brendan the first time around, because I remember pulling my hair out, what's left of my hair, against, we were going to Paris Saint-Germain, we were going to Barcelona and attacking, and it was admirable, but we just didn't have the sufficient quality to go out and attack like that against teams like that in stadiums like that. And I felt there was a little element of narcissism about Brendan's approach in those games, where it was like he was hoping to show elite level managers that he belonged in their company by playing elite level football. Well, yeah, okay, let's go for elite level football, but it tends to work when you've got elite level players better than when it doesn't. So I think that's been stripped away. I think it's been a learning experience over the last few years with, for Brendan. I think for some of the players, and we're much more comfortable. We look more comfortable as a unit, and we seem to be more the team as a unit seems to know and get and understand what Brendan Rodgers is asking for them. I mean, you could see it in the two pre-season games, because I was watching those games, against Man City and
Chelsea.
Yeah, and the pre-season games, but you could see that we were beginning to play. You could see what Brendan Rodgers was working on, and then as soon as the first few games of the season started, and especially in the game against Rangers, I'm thinking they've really worked very, very hard together in pre-season, finessing some of what was going on last season, and we're better. We're better at what we were trying to do last season, and so I don't think they'll be overawed.
Pre-season was a blueprint for success at this level, Hamish. That's why we took on that calibre of opposition. We spoke about it on the pod at that time, and you knew he drilled it into them and drummed it into them. In order to succeed in Europe, you're going to have to play this way against that calibre of opposition. So pre-season was the foundation and the stepping stone to what's coming next. You cannot underemphasise the importance of pre-season and those pre-season results. And I look at Dortmund, and they've conceded 7 in their last 2, Hamish. There is chances for Celtic tonight. There will be goal-scoring opportunities because this team can create. Again, it's that old adage, isn't it? When you're on top, and if you create gilt-edged chances or opportunities at this level, they have to be taken, because this is a team that will punish you when it's a role reversal. And the manager was talking about, you'll have to deal with adversity and deal with pressure, but he's got the players that, as Kevin said, they're all mentally attuned, physically attuned, know what they're doing, and you trust the manager and you trust these players to carry out their instructions, and you just hope that when the opportunities present themselves, that they can be as clinical at this stage as they have been domestically so far.
Yeah, that's the thing for me is, the game tonight's about finding out how good this Celtic team are, because we all think this is a really exceptional Celtic team, and but the reality is we haven't played a top team yet this season. That is the reality. We've been the favourites in every game, and the team have shown that in every game. We've been, I was thinking this earlier, we've been completely dominant in every competitive game that we've played so far this season. I think that's maybe 9 or 10 matches, completely dominant. But tonight you're going in as underdogs, and you can argue about how big underdogs we actually are. And I don't actually think we are as big underdogs as maybe some people would think. But they are the favourites for this game. And I still think as much as I think this is a different Celtic team at this level, I think we saw signs against Bratislava. We still have to find out, have we learned from shooting ourselves in the foot like we did at times last season, conceding daft late goals, not being able to hold on to leads, red cards, just general kind of game management, and also the dark arts and all that kind of stuff. The stuff we felt last year that the likes of Atletico had and we didn't. I still think, tonight's the one to find out, how far have the team actually come on from last season. My hunch is that we have come on a hell of a lot, and I think we'll show that tonight. And I think we might get a result tonight. We might get a draw. But until it actually happens, guys, you're not going to know. And that's the thing. You see, domestic games, they're a bit of a foregone conclusion at the moment because we're so good and no other team in Scotland can deal with us. So, and obviously that's not to take anything away from the team because they've been brilliant domestically. I'm loving watching them. But this is it. Like, the game tonight is the kind of game that gets me, really excited because there's real jeopardy there. Excuse me. My voice is gone. Tony, you come and I'll save my voice.
I think the manager was at pains to say last night that even if Celtic do get beat, and that's a possibility, he said they're not a poor team, they're not a bad team. Overnight, this is the elite level of club competition, European football at its finest. So I think he's desperate for this to come along because he wants to use it as a barometer to see how good they are, Hamish. To see if everything that he has taught them in the last year, and also the players that have played in the Champions League for the past 2 or 3 seasons, those learnings, those developments and that progress that he's hoping they have all made. He wants all of that to come to fruition, and to see where it give them some kind of gauge of where Celtic are at. And I think that's what everybody wants to see tonight. Just how good are the Celtic team right now? Just how good can they be? And just how good will they turn out in the future? Have they got a bit to go? Because it doesn't get any bigger than this. Champions League runners-up. The only other major test would be against Real Madrid, and they played Real Madrid not that long ago, and as Kevin rightfully mentioned, had a decent hour, and then it all went sour, didn't it, after the hour? So that's the thing you need to learn, that an hour tonight ain't going to be good enough either. You have to go the full distance. You have to be in it the whole time and give yourself a chance to be in it, stay in it. And that means that discipline, no red cards, try and not give away sloppy goals. Because one of the bugbears of mine with Celtic in Europe, especially away, they lose clusters of goals, don't they?
Yeah.
You used to come in like 2s and 3s, and by that point you're out of the contest, and that's what really used to grind my gears, probably grind a lot of supporters' gears. Even if they lose a goal, try and not lose one like 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, because you give yourself a huge mountain to climb. It's okay to lose goals. You have to accept you'll be under pressure. But Celtic in past years have lost 2s and 3s, and they've just not been in, in any shape to win a football match after that.
Yeah, I think that's a big point. That's what I mean about the learning. How much have this team learned from previous Champions League games? Just a few comments. Fidel saying tonight the boys become men in Europe. I like that. Is there an update in Taylor, Tony? Thomas is wondering. There's a lot of names, but is there an update in Greg Taylor if he's fit to play?
Yeah, I believe he's fit to play. The manager just mentioned Cameron Carter-Vickers last night. That was the only one
What
he
was the
said.
story with Taylor? Oh, yeah, sorry, he went off at half time, didn't he?
And he wasn't pictured at training, but he did train. And I think everything's fine because, as I say, the manager was asked if everybody was fit, and he only chose to mention Cameron Carter-Vickers being out.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, taking it as read, that Taylor will play.
Yeah. What about the Carter Vickers stuff, Kevin? Is that a concern to you, the fact CCV isn't going to be there?
Yeah, it's a concern because he's been, in the last 3 seasons, he's been one of our top 3 players. However, he hasn't had the most assured start to the season. Scales has outshone him, I think. Big Scales has got him out of jail a couple of times. Trusty looked good against St Johnstone. He looked what he'd been, a Premier League, an English Premier League player, albeit with the worst team in the Premier League last season. I think, I think see if you can play an entire season in the English Premier League, which he's done. The English Premier League is the strongest league in the world. It's far stronger than the Bundesliga. I don't care what anybody says. It's far stronger than the Bundesliga. It's far stronger than Serie A or La Liga, because you just need to look at the number of English clubs that have won a European competition or won the European Cup, and then look at the number of Spanish or German or Italian clubs that have won it. There's far more English. The spread of ability and strength in the English top tier is much greater, goes much deeper down the league than in the others. And if you can play for a season or so in that, then you can play anywhere. I actually think that pressing is now everything at this level. Everyone accepts that. Your ability to press intelligently rather than just chase balls down is key to everything. And for the first time, I think we have in Maeda, Kyogo, and Kun, we have 3 players who can carry out an effective, intelligent press against high-quality opponents. I think one of the reasons why no team domestically can live with us, and nor will they this season, is because we've got that. No other team has in Scotland. It's nowhere near it, and no other team in Scotland can cope with Kun, Kyogo, and Maeda coming at them in their first third of their first third. That's required as a given at this level in Europe. It's just the way the game is, and we've done it in fits and starts. But with those 3, I think we can do it. We're able to do it far better at this level than we have before. I'm intrigued as to, there's the kind of Bernardo Hatate, and I know that we were having a debate the other week, Tony. It was Hatate versus you were saying Bernardo, we were saying Hatate. I think Bernardo might start tonight.
Yeah, I think he will.
I
think he will.
Yeah, I think he will.
I think I still think Hatate is probably the most naturally gifted footballer in the side, maybe give or take, an Engels. But the Celtic are going to have to do a lot of running tonight. If Celtic are going to get anything from this game tonight, they will have to be prepared to track every run that the Germans make. That's just, which is why, the pressing in the final third, is crucial. But the midfield will be required to really concentrate and track all the runs. And I think Bernardo does that is doing that better than Hatate right now.
Yeah, Bernardo starts for me. Hatate's not a bad sub to come on, later on in the game, depending on how things are going. But yeah, Bernardo starts for me, Tony.
Yeah, Bernardo for me, Bernardo, Engels and Callum McGregor. And an interesting stat that was brought to me last night, I think Ryan flagged that up actually. Cameron Carter-Vickers has missed 5 out of the 12 Champions League games that Celtic have played. So this will be 6 out of 13. So read what you want into that. He was sort of saying there's some ongoing issues that need looked at with Cameron Carter-Vickers, but that was interesting. Yeah, listen, Austin Trusty's there. That's it. It's not something you need or have to dwell on. He'll be beside Scales. That's a central defence, and we run with that. But yeah, Bernardo, the great thing about Bernardo is, allied to that running power and tracking back and all that, he's an excellent footballer. Celtic need as many excellent footballers on the park tonight, technically gifted as well, to match up to a team full of technically gifted footballers. And it gets lost in the vortex a wee bit with Bernardo, because he does do the tracking back and all that. But his technique for Saturday's goal was brilliant. Brilliant. And, every goal he scored for Celtic's been an absolute belter. He doesn't do that. Because I asked him on Saturday, do you score tap-ins? Every goal you score's been a cracker. And he laughed. He says, I'll need to learn to score tap-ins, but so far, we've all been from the edge of the box, haven't they? To my knowledge. And also the goal that was scored in the winning goal in the cup final, either was from his strike from the edge of the box, so he's got it in his locker to produce something special. But I think in terms of that, I'm more comfortable, because I think, it's called the engine room for a reason. And I think that's a right good engine room with those 3 players there. Bernardo, Engels and McGregor. Hatate, as you say, Kevin, can sometimes be that kind of luxury player, where the tracking back's not uppermost or foremost in his mind, but the ability to pick a pass and that technical stuff he's very good at. But I think we need all hands to the pump tonight, because it's going to be one of those games. Apologies if you hear maybe people.
Get out there and tell them you're live on YouTube.
I think there's something going on.
It makes a change from the dogs. So what have we got? AR's wondering, Tony, I'll get you back in, because AR's wondering how long Carter-Vickers is going to be out for. Does he need surgery? Was there any chat of that from?
No, the manager never said. He just said it's something they're going to continue to monitor moving forward. But it's the big toe, isn't it? It can cause you real grief. Injuries like that. I referenced Mark Reaper the other day, didn't I, who had to retire early from playing professional football because of a recurring toe injury. I don't know if with Carter-Vickers if it's as serious as that, because Celtic always say it's manageable. But if there's underlying or ongoing issues, it has to get looked at. Has to be treated, and get some kind of definitive on it.
Yeah, AR again saying, please no silly bookings, because we always seem to get card-happy refs away in Europe. I believe today's referee is quite card-happy. Not just that, guys, though. Would you believe he sent off a Celtic player the last time he refed us? Vakun Bayo was sent off away to Rennes in 2019 by this referee, and it was a bit of a shambolic red card. I don't know if you remember, guys, but he was
I do remember it.
Followed through in the keeper, but it wasn't a yellow. And initially he's kind of waving it away, wasn't given a yellow. And the keeper, who's actually Edouard Mendy, who went on to play for Chelsea, I think he's now in Saudi Arabia, he was rolling around, and the referee from that reaction went and gave Bayo a second yellow. So it maybe tells you that he pays attention to what players are doing on the pitch. So nothing daft tonight, hopefully, Kevin.
Yeah, I think we are a far more disciplined team as well. And I think Callum McGregor is another year older. I think he's playing at the very, very top of his game. McGregor will be telling himself, look, I produced against Real Madrid. I can produce it against anyone. But Callum's grown into that captaincy year by year. And at this moment in time, his captaincy is probably he's developing into one of our most influential captains ever. You know, in the post-war era, you look at the likes of Billy McNeill, Roy Aitken, etc., Danny McGrain, Paul McStay. Callum McGregor, I would say, is getting towards Billy McNeill influence. He commands utmost respect in that club. He matches it with the performances. There's been a couple of little kind of cameos that he's provided. I think it was in one of the goals against Rangers. Towards the end of last season. No, it wasn't. It was the cup final winner. So they've all gone to Ida. There's just a couple of minutes left. Everyone's going bananas, and that unique angle that Celtic provides. You see him. They've had the celebrations, and then he's saying, focus. There's still a few minutes here. That's gone. Back up the park. Let's start again. There's this game's still to be won. That's real leadership. So yeah, I'm kind of talking myself into optimism here. I'm better.
Good.
Perish the thought, Kev. My goodness.
I mean, Tony, God bless you, but I've been to a few away games in Europe, and the only
me too. The first goal I ever seen Celtic score away from in Europe was Blackburn Rovers.
The only time I saw them win away was Blackburn and Ajax, 1982.
Yeah.
Which is a belter, right enough.
Blew my first grant check at uni coming to Cologne in 92.
All right, I see.
To see Liam Brady's team not have a shot at goal.
2-0.
Wasn't best pleased. They turned it round the second leg right enough, but yeah. So been in that German movie before, so hopefully it's not the same. But listen, you can be as optimistic as you want. We can talk the talk on here, but it could have no bearing on what actually happens tonight. But
Is that your room service?
Can't make this up, could you?
It's still happening. Is that Ryan trying to get in?
Timing is everything, isn't it? Give me a second.
That'll be the house cleaning. I kind of want to just not speak and just see how this goes, but we should probably move on.
Tony, ask her how she thinks the game's going to go.
I was going to ask her, but my German wasn't up to much, so I just sort of declined. But there you go, you couldn't make that up, could you? But
I'll tell you another thing. It's good to see. It's great to see pictures of Murdo.
Great guy.
Murdo was our columnist. Well, when I was at the Daily Record, Murdo was our columnist, and I wrote his column for many, many years. And just great to see him making a recovery. And great to see him that he'll be there tonight. He was saying he was flying over to meet some friends. So hopefully,
hopefully he's there. Jeremy Toljan, is he there? Does anyone know?
Hopefully he's somewhere around the media, and I get to see him. There's a lot of love and affection for both Paul Lambert and Murdo McLeod. So excellent. But no,
great people. Can I just go through a few comments just before we go? Charlie's asking us to talk about the weather because we're nervous enough. We will actually do that because Colin reckons the pitch should be nice and damp. What is the weather forecast?
Chucking it down.
Is it?
Chucking it down just now, yeah. So, it's a slick pitch might not be the worst thing that could happen to Celtic.
Although, I mean, the Germans, they're as accustomed to bad weather as we are.
Correct. So I don't think it's...
Good for the through balls, though, eh?
You kind of advance. Yeah, that's it. If you time that right, with the quickness and intelligence in that front line of Celtic, you could catch them out. So we shall see.
What else is on your list of things to do today before kick-off?
Pray for a Celtic win. Or as the famous Irish comedian Dave Allen, you'll remember this, Kevin, he said, "May your God go with you, but not to the football." He always said, "May your God go with you," and then he had an addendum. That was one. May your God go with you, but not to the football. That was always one of his, one of his mantras, which I always thought was very funny. But yeah, I think. Listen, I just think it can't come quick enough. It's going to be a long time till 8 o'clock tonight, isn't it? But I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there hasn't been a heightened sense of anticipation among the Celtic supporters for a game of this magnitude in a long, long time, thinking that something could give and you could be witnessing something special. You've gone in with blind hope and blind optimism and blind faith. You're a Celtic supporter. You always do that, but when push comes to shove, you always kind of get let down and to think, well, we kind of half expected it. You're half expecting Celtic tonight to do something pretty special, and if they get beat, then you're not going to run away and cry and get upset because you cannot underestimate the gargantuan task that Celtic are facing here, trying to win for the first time in Germany against Borussia Dortmund in their own backyard. But this would have frightened me 12 months ago, Hamish.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have frightened every Celtic supporter. You'd have thought, nah, we're not equipped. I think we're as equipped as we'll ever be in a squad, in terms of squad, to cope with something, with a game of this importance. And we will get that gauge and we'll get to see how good we are and how far we've still got to go.
Yeah.
Come 10 o'clock to half time tonight.
There's going to be so much to chat about tomorrow and for the rest of the week. Enjoy the game, guys. You in particular, Tony, I'm very jealous you're getting to see it in the flesh. It should be a good one, and let's hope we can do ourselves justice, as you just said, and get the result. Thanks very much, guys, for chatting. Thanks everyone for tuning in and watching. And yeah, as Tony says, we've got just over 9 hours now until kickoff, so we're gradually getting there. It's going to be a big night. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll catch up with you. Just before the game, Tony? Is that the plan?
Yeah, tonight. I think myself and Ryan will be on. Okay. Hopefully pre-match, and then we'll be on at some point post-match. But that could be as late could be. We get the work done as well, and then we'll still be on post-match at some point. But like everything else, I think Celtic supporters will want to talk about it regardless.
Oh yes, right. Okay, we're heading now. Chat to you all soon.